ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। Okay, anyone remembers what we are discussing? Yeah, SakshiGopal. Anyone remembers more? That's all right. Just asking. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So young Brahmana and old Brahmana they went to Vrindavan. The young Brahmana served the old Brahmana in Vrindavan, and by pleasing by his service, old Brahmana promised to get marry his daughter to this Brahmana. And then young Brahmana rejected his proposal because he is not educated enough. But old Brahmana said, okay, that's okay, I will convince my family members, and then they came back to their village. And then the old Brahmana put forward his proposal before his family members, and they did not like this proposal. And then the next day, young Brahmana came and asked for the proposal to get married. But old Brahmana says he don't remember such.
Why did he say that?
Because he is a he did, because of his family members' force.
Yeah. They were telling either we'll drink poison and die, or okay.
And then Lord Brahmana said, okay, if Krishna comes and tells personally, because because of the proposal was done before Sakshi, before Krishna. So he said, if Krishna comes and tells him personally that yes, uh, that I promised him to get married, then I will be.
Wonderful. That was the last verse that she described. So the young Brahmana said, the the old Brahmana's son. He said, this person, he intoxicated my father, plundered all the wealth, and um, now he's not satisfied, so he want to take everything else with the daughter, through the daughter. So these are all his tricks. Um, and then the old Brahmana said, well, um, this is all lies. And then he explained, as Mataji said, he explained his proposal. And then he said, well, Gopal is Sakshi. And then what she said, old Brahmana said, yes, if Gopal himself comes, then I will accept. Now, what was the response of this? Is where we are starting. He had no desire to break his promise, but fearing that his kinsman would commit suicide, he deviated from the truth. Now, this is young Brahmana telling to all the villagers. What is he telling?
He's telling that because his kinsman fear, he is telling him that otherwise he is.
Yeah. So, uh, what can we see from there? That young Brahmana had, he did not kind of judge the authenticity of all Brahmana. Although apparently, if you don't say anything, that means you are supporting. If you stay silent, that means you are supporting. So, lot of allegations against him, and the Brahmana did not say one word, kind of so far. And when he was asked, "What do you think?" the old Brahmana said, "Well, I don't remember." It's like turning the face completely off from the persons. And still, the young Brahmana is telling, "Actually, there is no fault of old Brahmana." By the piety of the elderly Brahmana, I shall call the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a witness. Thus, I shall keep his truthful promise intact. So, what is young Brahmana's consciousness? Why I will be able to call Sakshi Gopal?
piety of the elder.
Piety of elder Brahmana. This is very important. So, he is not thinking that he is qualified to bring Gopal, and the other person did not support him. But on the other hand, he is thinking that he is kind of favoring him. Now, just for example, um, okay, let's see. Okay, nothing on this slide. Yeah, okay. So, um, many times it may happen that um, some devotees whom we know or whom we like, or we have some relationship, and they kind of turn against us or not support us. Sometimes it happens, it may happen. um, um, the point I'm trying to make is this judgment towards devotees. Today only I was reading a quote, I was reading something by my spiritual master, and he was mentioning that when we judge devotees, um, um, we face spiritual problems when we judge devotees. And the situation may happen in such a way that we will be very convinced to judge a devotee. Now I can share example, but then I don't want to uh, 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 things to be quoted. But there was one. I went through this trouble actually. When we especially hear something bad about a devotee, na, judgment comes. Then we don't try to see the circumstances which may have forced, but we immediately kind of try to judge the devotee. This is an obstacle in our Krishna consciousness. Like there was one sannyasi. Don't search for him. um, Lot of things happened, and then sannyasi, he had many disciples. True story. But don't ask me the name of that was, he had many disciples. His own disciples told that he had relationship with a woman. He's called sannyasi. He has released many books, pure devotee. But his own disciple made an allegation against him for some reason. This is where judgment comes into picture. It's like maybe they have seen something, maybe, and they alleged against him that he has a relationship with a woman. And then that disciple, they reported to GBC, and GBC went, GBC questioned, and lot of things happened. And GBC released a note all over ISKCON that don't associate with this sannyasi. Can you believe what the sannyasi will be going through? Can you imagine? You know what happened as a result of that? That sannyasi left ISKCON. No. True story. True story. Then the first time I heard, na, then my mind was telling, GBC is telling, everybody is telling, why, how could he be like that? Kind of that thought came. Next day I have spiritual problems. Then I understand, अरे यार भगवान के शुद्ध भक्त है, क्यों ना मेरा कोई लेना देना ही सब्जेक्ट मैटर से, क्यों, why why do I have to get into this? Then I pray to Radharani, I pray to Gurudev, and I pray to lotus feet of that pure Vaishnava that please forgive me. This judgmental mentality comes, and anybody can judge anyone. Why? Because this is Kali Yuga. One brahmachari was telling me. He said, these are very intimate. I don't know how much I can share, but just for the sake of bringing out this point, I'm sharing. He was working. He would come home at 11 p.m. And there was another girl. There's brahmacharya ashram, brahmacharini ashram. There was another girl. He was not a brahmachari that time. There was another girl who would also come home at 11 p.m. because of because of her work schedule, something. They both are ashram and ashramites, kind of. This that devotee himself told me. And later on, they saw the boy and the girl kind of uh, going in a train together. That's like, like it's a big city, like a metropolitan city in US. So you take the train together, kind of, when you are going or whatever. So um, the temple administrator, they they kind of banned this Prabhu, saying that he's trying to become a brahmachari, but he has a relationship. The devotee is a brahmachari now, very strong brahmachari. But the thing is, he was judged. Till today, he is like, this is like many years back, at least like 7 years back. I had this conversation with this one brahmachari, and I'm just sharing some examples, not at all related to our temple, and probably we may not know about those people, but I'm just sharing the disease of not able to understand the circumstances, where people are. This person told me that on that particular instance, I was coming back, she happened to come back, and then we saw each other. But when a person is pairing brahmachari, he won't talk. So he's standing in one place, she's standing in one place, but some people saw them. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told, even if Nitai goes into the bar and studios, don't judge him. You heard that. Even if Nitai goes into bar and studio, don't judge him. Because Bhavagrai Janardana. But the thing is, Krishna arranges purification for everyone. This all should be seen as Krishna's arrangement, so kind of people can come out of, I mean, whatever. We don't want to say how, why Krishna did like this, for whatever reason. But if we judge, uh, our conditioning is we come to conclusion. कुछ भी देखा ना कंक्लूड हो गए. अरे देखो तो कि बंदे का क्या, वो why did he do that, why did sannyasi do that, what was the instance. Nobody wants to go. It's like one time you hear, and my spiritual master says, even if somebody says that person thinks this about you, and that person tells you something, that you say don't believe him unless you hear from your own ears. Like for example, if Chari Prabhu said, Prabhuji, Mahipal Prabhu was telling Shaman is useless soul, then sharing an example, if you tell me, then my spiritual master says, don't believe you. Unless he himself comes and tell me, he says to that extent, one should be non-judgmental. Because so many situations happens, and we just have, so here what do we see in that particular situation? The young Brahmana, now imagine, there is it's a false allegation. It's a false allegation. Suppose I say I saw Shushunna Mataji. I mean, the topic is like this. Giving something. I saw Shushunna Mataji. She came to the temple, opened the hundi stall, all the money, and left. Just an example. Now, um, or say, Mahipal Prabhu is staying with me in a temple. I won't take him. He's here only. And he tells about you like this, and I stay quiet. Quiet means I agree that I noticed you came and you stole all the money from the hundi and left. How natural will it be for you to judge both of us? Correct? How can Prabhuji say that? But here we see that person, Brahmana, knows everything. But he is telling, in spite of this young Brahmana, I mean, we are seeing it as, hua, hua, hua. But if you really see the position of young Brahmana, it's pure devotee, and he is being told, you fed intoxication, it's all allegation. But, and the young Brahmana, did you give any promise? The old Brahmana said, I don't remember anything. It's a hard blow, actually. Do you really think? But the young Brahmana is telling, actually, he is pure. On basis of his spiritual strength, I will call Sakshi Gopal. So you see the purity of young Brahmana, of not being judgmental, something like that.
Somehow,
How? Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm thinking while speaking, maybe I will avoid it. But this is something I would say, um, if the thought comes within, one thing you can do is reveal to somebody that repentance. It is said now two things. Now, okay, I have an answer for your question. Two things. One thing is continuous chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because this is a kind of offense that you don't need to go and actually beg forgiveness, because the other person doesn't even know something is happening. But at the same time, you feel like, okay, I'm not doing good now. I'm seeing, and Paramatma will guide you that okay, this is not something that is good is happening. Um, One thing revealed to a person,
Sharing in gym.
yeah. Hare Krishna. So, so one thing is, what did I say?
Yes. Repentance.
Koti Vaishnav in the key jai. So one thing is, um, if you realize that, and there is no point of asking forgiveness because there is no physical offense that actually happened. It's just a mental state. Then continuously chant, begging forgiveness at the lotus feet of devotee whom we have judged. Because see, the thing is, Krishna is sitting in our heart. Krishna is watching. Doesn't matter who watch it, doesn't watch. If the devotee doesn't even know ना, Krishna knows. But what we are trying to cultivate is internal purity. बाहर से लोग जो सोचे doesn't, we don't care. But we care that Krishna should be pleased with me. Krishna should be. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says some offenses like this, continuous chanting of the holy name and begging forgiveness at the lotus feet of devotee, and then share with somebody that I went through this phase. My mind is troubled with that. When you share, uh, your problem will be half solved. Just share that this is something happened, and I'm having this judgmental about this devotee. How I can overcome these thoughts. I have seen that really helps. When I go through some phase, I share. Somebody. You can share with your friends, somebody who is a well wisher, anybody kind of you feel connected to, you're comfortable with, um, but at least one person whose mood is to help you, and then you share. How to avoid in the first place? This is difficult. It will come. This is difficult. But then,
Immediately.
huh? I have seen Prabhuji. I have seen so many cases. We don't leave anybody. you know, कृष्णा को भी नहीं छोड़ेंगे, प्रभुपाद को नहीं छोड़ेंगे, गुरुदेव को नहीं छोड़ेंगे. For everybody, there is a very natural tendency of judgment. And then what happens? That's something we really have to overcome. Otherwise, Krishna is not pleased with our. Sometimes we learn hard way. That's okay. We go through some experience like yeah, unnecessarily suffering, and then we become more careful. All right. Okay. So the young Brahmana, he went to Gopal. Eta jami tumi sakshi deha dayamay, jani sakshi nahi deyo tara papa hai. The young Brahmana prayed, my dear Lord, you are very merciful and you know everything. Therefore, kindly be a witness in this case. A person who knows everything as they are and still does not bear witness becomes involved in sinful activities. Who is telling to whom?
Gopal.
Brahmana is telling to Gopal. What is he telling?
You are very merciful.
And then, what if you don't support me?
Involved in sinful activities.
It's a sin. He's telling to Krishna, it's a sin. You know everything you witness, and if you don't support me, it's a sin. So Prabhupada says there, a pure devotee, even though he knows everything of the Supreme Lord, can speak to the Lord exactly as if he were a common man. There's a kind of interaction, like uh, very personal, very personal. How many of you can recite Bengali verses?
Using English, I think.
Yeah. like that, in that tune, in that tone.
Yeah.
So we'll start with Harshini Mataji. In this manner, you will become used to reciting verses. Go ahead.
Okay.
Wherever there is a verse, you recite. Wherever English, I can directly read, just for speed's sake. Okay.
Krishnapate Vittapuriya Aswabhavane Sabhakari Hare Pavitradi Asmarane. Lord Krishna replied, My dear Brahmana, go back to your home and call a meeting of all the men. In that meeting, just try to remember me.
What is Gopal's solution? He said, "Come with me." What did Gopal say?
Go there, set a meeting, and
And then
remember.
remember me. This is how Krishna actually solves the problem. He solves the problem just by taking shelter of it. For any problem, we don't go Gopijana Vallabha, Mahipal Rose, go chalo. There is some conflict. Just remember Krishna, Krishna solves everything. There are many examples. Prahlad Maharaj, what kind of problem was he in? Death is always with, at him from wherever. Draupadi, and many other examples. How did they solve the problem?
Still remember Krishna.
Krishna. Always remembering Krishna. Prahlad Maharaj perfected life just by smara, remembering Krishna. Draupadi, Krishna. Krishna can come in many forms. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I always say this verse, probably every lecture I say this verse. In 18th chapter, Krishna says, if you remember me, you will be able to overcome all the obstacles. Correct? Correct? Okay. Now, whatever be the problem, um, family problems, kids problems, office problems, software problems, whatever. Sadhana is not good problems, whatever. What we have to do, we call out to Krishna. Health problems. It's very difficult to develop faith on Krishna when there is health problem. You all agree? Some time back, na, I had some health issue, and then I told one devotee that I have some health issue, and that devotee told me that um, well, chant nicely, it will go away. What do we do? क्या बोल रहे हो? Does it make sense? Chant nicely, be sincere, it will go away. मैं सोच रहा हूँ क्या यार पूरा जी जान लगा के मुझे कर रहा हूँ सब I'm trying to do whatever I can do, but the natural tendency is that we have many. Prabhupada says durashray in this material world. You Prabhupada said do the needful, but depend on Krishna. Something Yugal Kishore Prabhu, those who know, I shared before. He told Radhanath Maharaj that Maharaj, we have corona, and Radhanath Maharaj told that do the needful, but depend on Krishna. What it means to depend on Krishna is to depend on Krishna. Maro bhi rakho bhi, jo icha tumhar. Nitya dasa pati tuvarika. Whatever you want to do, you do. See, Krishna consciousness all about consciousness. Everything is internal only. It's all about internal. Problem comes, good come, happy, whatever situation comes. What is my internal? Okay, my Lord, Atma Samarpana. I surrender unto you. You do with me whatever you like. Yes, I am useless, I am fool, I am everything, everything, everything. Depending on your mercy. It's all about consciousness. So he said, just remember me and your problem will be solved.
Question.
Huh?
While chanting, there is one of this Nam pattern that we should not chant for the fruitive results.
Should
So,
not chant for the
fruitive results.
fruitive results.
So, then it will, while chanting, it will keep some motive connected to this material problems. Then, shall it be the Nam pattern? Because I'm always conscious of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Well, the highest is whatever situation is happening in my life is Krishna's mercy, and I accept it as Krishna's mercy. But then that state is very advanced. Then the second level is, well, my Lord, please help me to go through whatever situation I am in. Okay. Okay. My Lord, please help me. If you call out to Krishna, you depend on Krishna. And the third level is you depend on our own arrangements. But the thing is, most of the people in this world depend on their own arrangements. So higher is you depend on Krishna. You ask Krishna for help. Um, um, the highest state is like Maharaj Ambarish. That is very high. That's the highest. But can we do that? Can we do when there is a problem? Uh, um, my Lord, whatever you like. Most of the time, what will be our prayers? My Lord, please help me. It won't be like do what you are like me. When there's a problem, we ask for help. So that is bona fide. That is okay. There is a verse in Shrimad Bhagavatam. Um, what is that verse? Moksha kama udharati tivrena bhakti yogin hrijate purusam param. What is the first verse? Whether, basically whether you have any desires or you don't have any desires or you have
Akama kama.
हाँ अकाम सर्व काम होगा मोक्ष काम उदारति तीव्रेन भक्ति योगिन यजते पुरुषम परम akama whether you are without desire or sarva kama or you have many desires or you have desire for liberation, you take shelter of Krishna. In fact, Krishna does say that you take shelter of me. Now practically speaking, I understand what you are saying, but in our case, practically speaking, any situation come, you depend on Krishna, you depend on the holy name of Krishna. Yes, recently one devotee was telling me that if you really want to avoid uh, any offenses and want to maintain your Krishna consciousness, he was telling me continuously chant the holy names. Continuously chant. Upamsa, let the tongue vibrate. I cannot follow, but I'm sharing, I'm just passing what I was told. Is continuously chant the holy names. Then we will be able to resolve. But we should ask Mataji anything. Don't ask for specifically material things like please let me have a new car or something like that, which we usually don't ask. My Lord, whatever is best for you is okay, but things like when there is life threat or when something is really troubling you, then you ask like emotional things. Something is like making your life a hell, then we should depend on Krishna and ask for help. Is it all? That's recommended. Okay, Purva, you can try.
हे नित्य यादि ए श्रीपदने साक्षी देखा यादि तापे सर्वलोक सुने. Only if you go there in the storm of Prabhupada and speak the words from your beautiful face, will your testimony be heard by all the people.
So I will keep going forward if there is no explanation required. So you all okay. Well, Gopal, if you yourself come and speak with your beautiful face, then only people will hear you. If I go and just remember you, I don't think it will work out because Brahmana is thinking that, well, I have tried everything, but the force is too much against me. I just cannot handle. So you become Sakshi, that is my only goal. It's kind of rejecting Krishna's order, but then there is a relationship. You can do that. Okay, Mataji.
Krishna kahe Pratima kare Gosama Sasane Vikrabali Pratima Kene Vani. Lord Krishna said, I have never heard of a deity's walking from one place to another. The Brahmana replied, that is true, but how is it that you are speaking to me although you are a deity?
Good. This is, you remember Gauridas Pandit? Similar thing. Okay. Sorry. Oh, this is, I can read. Now, why did I put this slide? Do you remember the six, character six of pure devotional service? First chapter, Nectar of Devotion. Kleshagni, Subhada, Moksha, Laghutakrit, Sudurlabha, Sundarananda Visheshatma, Shri Krishna Akarshani. So, Shri Krishna Akarshani is Krishna becomes controlled basically. I mean, pure devotional service, Rupa Goswami says, Krishna is all attractive. Pure devotional service even attracts Krishna. So pure devotional service is even greater than Krishna. Does it make sense? Krishna is all attractive, but pure devotional service attracts Krishna also. So that's Sri Krishna Akarshan. Basically, you control Krishna. So this devotee, he's kind of Krishna is bound by his, like Krishna is telling, no, this is not good. You remember me. How can I walk? He said, no, no, nothing doing. You have to walk. But Krishna is controlled by love. So we see that. You read? No, you have to read. Okay, go ahead.
आसीना गोपाल कहे सुना ब्राह्मण तुम्हारा पछे पछे आमी करीबा गामन. Sri Gopal ji then smiled and said, "My dear Brahmana, just listen to me. I shall walk behind you, and in this way I shall go with you."
Good. We'll continue. Okay, this I can read. Um, Faith of young Brahmana. Prabhupada says, because of his advanced devotional service, the younger Brahmana knew that although the deity of Gopal appeared to be stone, he was not stone. He was the son of Nanda Maharaj, Vrajendra Nandana himself. Ye yathamam prapadyante. What's the reflection on this?
He seeing Lord every day.
Yes.
Based on how you approach the deities will reciprocate accordingly. When young Brahmana approached Gopalna, he saw Krishna is there, and he's talking as if he's talking to Krishna. And when he's telling you should come to me, although Sakshi Gopal has never spoken to young Brahmana has faith that he can do that. This faith is a sign of Uttamadikari. This is a very advanced faith. Like, think about it. You go to Gopijana Vallabha and you say, can you come with me? Now, when you say, can you come with me? You will have lack of faith and you will know he will not come with you. You all agree? Correct? While you are telling it, obviously will not come. Think about it. Gopal is just like any other deity. It's not that he has spoken, he has moved before. He's just a deity. But the young Brahmana has that faith. When he's speaking to the deity, he knows I'm speaking to Krishna here. And he can walk. And because he's speaking with that conviction, Krishna was bound by that. Shri Krishna Akarshani. That's where Rupa Goswami says, like, Kaleshagri, freedom from material suffering, and Subhada, auspiciousness like humility, tolerance, divinity. Those can be attained even at Anartha Nivritti. But then he says, as you go, at the stage of Bhava, you can get moksha, lagutakrit, like not attraction to moksha, deride, all these things. But at Bhava, at Prema, you can get Shri Krishna Karshini. By Prema only, Krishna becomes controlled when you actually have that love. Is it good? So it's all about faith. Rupa Goswami says, starting from Shraddha to Prema, what is the difference? There is a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Kanishta Madhyama Uttama Shraddha Anusari. Kanish Madhyama Uttama is based on Shraddha only. How much faith we have. Sometimes we ask people, "Bro, do you have faith Krishna is God? Gopijana Vallabhai Krishna? Full faith probably. But it's not there. Otherwise, talk to him like young Brahmana, दूध दूध पानी पानी हो जाएगा. Cannot. But young Brahmana had that faith in Gopal. Okay. Mataji, you read? Okay, go ahead.
The Lord continued, "Do not try to see me laterally. As soon as you see me, I shall remain occasionally in the presence. You will know that I am God. Behind you, at the sound of my ankle bells, cook 1 kilo of rice daily and offer it."
Many conditions. Like Krishna is listening to his devotees. This is actually devotees' pleasure. See, our Goswamis are on a very different platform. Our Goswamis, very different platform. They are Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I don't think we discuss Bhaktivinoda Thakur life story here. It's like four, four discussion, just life of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But it is described Bhaktivinoda Thakur when he came to Krishna consciousness, he was on the stage of Anuraga. Anurag is after Prema. After Prema, there are 7 stages. The last stage after Prema is Mahabhav. Just before that is Anurag. So that was a kind of advancement of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Otherwise, how is it possible? We were discussing in our Vrindavan Leelas that Jiva Goswami is playing with Damodar. The deity Radha Vinod asked Lokaral Goswami, "Now stop crying and cook for me. I'm hungry." How is it possible? They have such interaction with the deities of the Lord. Ye yathaman papat. Based on faith, the Lord reciprocates. So now, and does have you heard the story of Maharaj Indradumna and Jagannath carving of?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody else heard carving of Jagannath deity? How Jagannath came? You heard? Actually, you heard.
I don't remember, but
Okay, well, he was a king, Maharaj Indradumna, and he wanted to carve a deity, the most blissful deity. Narad Muni kind of have seen that form of the Lord, Jagannath. So the Lord previously he was the deity, but he disappeared. That mountain was called Nilachal mountain.
yeah, Neelachal.
So that the deity disappeared. Maharaj Indra's lot of tapasya came all the way. The deity is not there. So he cried, 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 and the Lord came and he said, "Well, you hire this person and he will carve the deity." And that person was an incarnation of Lord Himself. If you have not heard the story, that's all right. Some other time we'll discuss. So he started carving, but then he said that I will carve. He did not have eyes and many things like that. I will carve. You will see you will hear the voice of chisel of carving. I want a closed room in a hill and nobody should come in. If you come in, I'll disappear and that will be it. So he would go. You heard that. You heard that. You heard that now. Okay. So he would go and hear. He would hear the sound of chisel. For many days, for some 1 2 days, he did not hear. He became very anxious. Then he opened the door, and he saw that he did not have hands, did not hand. There is no legs, just a torso, and torso sitting on the ground. You see Jagannath, just a stomach sitting on the ground, and his hands are not carved. It's like just this much. Just this is the hand. This portion is not there. So he became really anxious. So he prayed, and the Lord Krishna came in his dream and he said, "I want to be worshipped in this form as Jagannath." That's how Jagannath deity is very unique, because that's how Lord wanted to be worshipped. You see his face, everything. It's incomplete deity. His incomplete deity. So here he said something similar thing happens here. So here Gopal said, "Well, you hear me by ankle sound. Don't look at me. If you look, I'll stop." Similar condition. And something like that happened.
So next day, the Brahmana begged permission from Gopala and started for his country. Gopala followed him step by step.
Good. We'll continue.
Well, Gopala followed the young Brahmana. The tinkling sound of his ankle bells could be heard. The Brahmana became very pleased, and he cooked first-class rice for Gopala to eat.
It's very difficult to control the eyes. Think
How
about
can
it.
we stop?
Eh? How difficult is to control the eyes? It requires a lot of sense control actually. If somebody says Krishna is behind, don't look. And it's not like, from here to neighbor house. He has to walk all the way. He has to cook. Just think practically. He cannot look back. He will cook and say, take it. If he looks once, the Lord will not move. Actually, that's why one of the name of Krishna is Rishikesh. Rishikesh means he controls the senses of pure devotees. Otherwise, very difficult. More than eyes is mind. The mind goes.
all villagers called separately. For example, Charlie Papa.
Okay, so what happened? He came to his village, but he did not hear ankle bells. So, huh?
Look,
He looked back. I mean, still lot of sense control. घर तक तो पहुंच गए. And then Gopal Reddy stayed. Then he said, "Please come." Then Gopal smiled. Gopal said, "Now you call everyone here. I'm already very close." So he went and called everyone there. All the villagers and young brahmana came there, and this is the deity who was called as witness. And then young brahmana is there, and he's saying, "Here is Gopal, come for Sakshi." And all the villagers came, and everybody was shocked. The verse used is Haila Chamatkar. It was like great astonishment. The old brahmana was greatly pleased. He felt the Lord helped me, because he because old brahmana was in anxiety. He didn't want to break his religious principle, his promise to Gopal, but he didn't want his family member to take poison. So he was kind of stuck. And then he was stuck. What did he do? He remembered Gopal, please help me. I don't know what to do. So Gopal, when he saw Gopal came as Sakshi, he became very relieved that the Lord helped me. And then this is the reaction of old Brahmana.
तबे से बड़ा विप्र आनंदित मन गोपालेर आगे बढ़े then the elderly Brahmana, along with others, being very pleased, came forward and immediately pointed his stick at Gopal.
Good. All Brahmana became very grateful. Madhya.
The Lord spoke. I have become very much pleased by the truthfulness of you both. Now you can ask for a benediction. Thus, with great pleasure, the two Brahmanas begged for a benediction.
So Gopal spoke in front of everyone. And he just said, "Yes, I am Sakshi." And then he said, "You both are my pure devotees. I am very pleased with both of your." Huh?
truthful.
Truthful. हम सोचेंगे कहाँ truthful थे. But the old Brahmana was very truthful in his consciousness. Externally he was forced, but he was very truthful and committed to his words. And likewise young Brahmana. So he said, "I'm very pleased. Now ask for a benediction." This is Krishna's nature. He always asks everybody, ask for a benediction, and then benediction. Now we have come to the end of the story of Sakshi Gopal, but there is something more before we end the chapter.
The Brahmana said, "Please remain here so that people all over the world will know how merciful you are to your servants." Devotees constructed a temple for him and served him for many years. Later, King Purushottam Dev requested Sakshi Gopal to come to his kingdom in Cuttack, which Gopal accepted.
Okay, does any bell rings when you hear Purushottam Dev? I know Harshni Mataji knows. You heard the story twice. Purushottam Dev, father of Maharaj Pratap Rudra. Yeah, I remember you. Still, well, then yeah, I could see from your face. Savi Prabhu, Apurva. Okay, now if you remember, he Purushottam Dev wanted to marry a king's daughter. So the king sent a servant. Then he saw Maharaj Purushottam Dev is sweeping the floor.
Yeah.
Bhangi ban gaye. So now some more bells are ringing. You remember? Not
I
yet.
don't think I've heard this.
Understood. Well, he was sweeping. So then the king sent the proposal. I cannot give my daughter to a bhangi, street sweeper. पहले caste system बहुत होता था. Then Purushottam Dev was really angry. He said, This is insult to Jagannath. I'm sweeping because when Lord comes, we sweep." So he told he didn't say anything. He just went to kill them. His anger, like how can they insult Lord Jagannath? But when he went there, he was defeated. And then he came back. He told Jagannath, "Pure devotional service कर रहा हूँ. Still, I was defeated." So the king said, Jagannath said, "Well, you didn't take my permission before doing it." He took permission from the Lord. He went again, but before only Krishna Balram went and they defeated. So the king came to his senses. So the king sent the daughter. Then he said, because he find what he found insult with a bhangi. Although when the king gets, when you kind of capture the kingdom, her daughter come to you. Kind of that was the culture. So he said, I will not marry her now. And really, this is offense Lord Jagannath. Get him married to a bhangi. So next year again he was sweeping, street sweeping. Then he said, "You are the best bhangi I know." So then they got married. Good, you. So something. So that Purushottam Dev came. So this is, you can see, less than 600 years, because Maharaj Pratap Rudra was the associate of Lord Chaitanya. So his father, Purushottam Dev, he came. He has some special attraction for Gopal, for Krishna. Like, just cannot stop thinking of Krishna. So he heard from, he's in Orissa. Orissa, if you see Maharaj Pratap Rudra, his capital was in Katak. Katak is the capital of Orissa. So that was his father's capital, was in Qatar. So he heard that Vrindavan se Gopal came, took all the army, chalo, we'll bring Gopal. So he requested Gopal, please, I cannot live without you, and you are very merciful. Please come to my kingdom. These Brahmanas have already passed away, just the worship is going on. So Gopal accepted. So they brought Gopal to Qatar. So if you now go, later on, the king started worshipping Gopal in Jagannath temple, along with Lord Jagannath. But later on, Gopal kind of felt, कि इतना वैल्यू नहीं है, there is, everyone is coming to see Jagannath. So he moved to nearby uh, Jagannath Puri temple. You just 15, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. If you go to Jagannath Puri and then you just take a auto or cab something, within half an hour you take darshan of this Gopal. It was all brought by Purushottam Dev. Clear? So Purushottam Dev brought. Now something interesting. I think Chari Prabhu, right?
संहारा नासाते बहुमूल्य मुक्ताहाय ताहारीते उच्चाहया मानेते चिंता चिंताया. The queen had a very valuable pearl which she wore on her nose, and she wished to give it to Gopala. She then began to think as follows: if there were a hole in the deity's nose, I could transfer the pearl to him.
Good. So if you think, if you see, she would wear it in her nose, but she want to offer it to Gopal. It's not acceptable in our tradition. Like what she would wear, but her love was pure. Can anyone give an example like this? Giving prasad to the Lord? Huh? Go past, okay. Any
That shepherd.
Shabari is a good example. She would eat half and give. So in pure devotion, you can do that. So she was thinking, he doesn't have a hole, hole in his ear. I really want to fit this pearl ring to him. And then what happens?
Considering this, the queen offered her obeisances to Gopala and returned to her palace. That night she dreamed that Gopala appeared and began to speak to her as follows: if we have any pure desire to serve the Lord, he becomes ready eager to accept our love.
Krishna is attracted by our uh, our desire to serve when it is pure. Now there are two ways you can have pure desire. Sometimes the environment now make our desires impure, but usually service rendered at home or in temple when no one is around is usually relatively more pure. Example, if you do arti at home, it's relatively more pure when you do in front of 200 people in a Sunday feast. The consciousness wise, because you become conscious, everyone is watching. But when you're doing arti at home now, you don't care who is watching, who is not watching. But you are just trying to do it for the pleasure of the Lord. When you have no other desire, like when you are cooking for 500 people, you'll be very conscious how the taste comes. But when you are cooking at home, you are kind of relatively more purer in your service if you do it as an offering to Lord Krishna. So circumstances makes the desire go impure. You all agree? So, but she had one pure desire. She had a ring. She wanted to see it on the Gopal. So when there's a pure desire to please the Lord becomes very eager to accept it. And then Gopal came in a dream. Okay,
Aliyakale Matamura Nasatra Kari Uttapanna Jadi Paran Chaliya Chaliya Bahu Yatna Kari. During my childhood, my mother made a hole in my nose and with great endeavor set a pearl there. That very hole is still there, and you can use it to set a pearl you desire to do.
So she said he doesn't have a hole. He said, "What are you talking? My mother made a hole. It's still there. Go and check. Come and check." She saw there is no hole. She paid obeisance. Is left. Next morning again she came and she saw there is a hole. So he came. He said, "No, I have a hole. I am not. Um, um, किसी चीज की कमी नहीं है मेरे पास. There is nothing short of me. I have everything. You come and offer it to me." So Padmavati became very happy, the wife of Purushottam Dev.
अपने देखी से रानी राजा के कहला राजा सामने मेरे आई. After reading this, the queen explained it to her husband, the king. Both the king and the queen then went to the temple with the pearl.
Seeing the hole in the nose of Karim, they set the pearls there, and being very pleased, held a great festival.
So they were very happy to see that there is no. She put the pearl and they had a great festival.
Nityananda Mukhya Suri, Gopala Chandra, Daya Mahaprabhu, Swabhakta Sangha. Thus Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the narration of Gopala's activities. Both he and his personal devotees became very pleased. Lord Chaitanya stayed overnight and then left after Maharati for food.
Mhm. So now the story of Sakshi Gopal is over. So now coming back to Mahaprabhu. So who is telling this story to whom? Um, well, um, um, Nitai is telling to Mahaprabhu. So here, thus Mahaprabhu heard the narration of Gopal through Nitai, and now he is staying at the Sakshi Gopal Mandir. And this Sakshi Gopal Mandir is right now. It is very close. It's in Cuttack, kind of. Very close to Jagannath Puri temple, not in Cuttack. So he is very close to Jagannath. So we will see him very soon. He will reach Jagannath temple, but he will reach Jagannath temple next week. Today he will walk little more. He will take some baths today. Then next week he will reach Jagannath temple. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard, and both he and his personal devotees became very pleased. Who were his personal devotees? Anyone remembers? Ramananda Roy. Mahaprabhu has not even heard the name. He will come later. Jagannath Pandit is one of them. Who else? He is in Shantipur only.
Govind.
Govind will come afterwards. When he is sannyas in Puri, then we will see Govind. Or they all will come. Ramananda Roy first meeting will come. In 3 chapters, there is teachings of Ramananda Roy. Right now, once we go now, next chapter is Sarva Bhattacharya. Then there is South India too. And then there is teachings to Rupa, teachings to Sanatana. In South India too, there is interaction with Ramananda Roy, first meeting. So this all will happen Madhya Leela only. But right now he isn't not in Puri yet. So who were his personal devotees who became very pleased? Jayananda Pandit.
And the other one like he thrown away from the village. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually.
Krishna.
Kal Krishna Das?
Yeah, I think he has some disease.
There are many who had disease.
Gopal.
Gopal Chapala?
Yeah.
Gopal Chapala is not yet delivered. Gopal Chapala is deceased, left with the disease on the bank of Ganga, and he's still suffering. After 3 years, we'll see he will be delivered. Are you all connecting? The reason I'm asking is so that we kind of have a greater grip of Mahaprabhu's Leelas.
Where we are in the lead.
हैं?
Where
Where
we
we
are
are in
in
the
the
Leela.
lead.
क्योंकि सुना तो बहुत कुछ है अभी हम लोग कहाँ पे हैं? Okay, quick recap. What all has happened? Tell me quickly what all has happened so far.
Mahaprabhu took sannyas,
Okay,
um, not from the childhood, but
he took sannyas. Yeah, not from childhood. Just say all the leelas that have happened so far.
then
It will connect things dots together for us.
He took sannyas
people
and
from Navadvip came. Mother Sachi came.
So Shantipur Leela happened.
Yeah.
Shantipur Leela at the house of Advaitacharya after sannyas. Okay, what all has happened?
after that he left the world.
Mahaprabhu.
Mahaprabhu asks all the devotees, don't come now, stop here, stay there.
And Sachimata requested to stay in
I
Jamuna.
don't remember which.
अभी शुरू का थोड़े का आदि लीला Okay, no, good. Recap is important. नहीं तो हम खो जाएंगे लीला में. So, um, well, Mahaprabhu wanted to go to Vrindavan, but he did not go. Instead, Sachimata said he go to Puri.
Yeah.
That's what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He didn't go to Vrindavan.
Yeah. So while going there, he stopped all other devotees not to go. I think they followed for some time. Then
Advaitacharya followed when Mahaprabhu was coming to Puri from Shanti.
They convinced
Okay, another instance, Mahaprabhu. Okay, first share. I understood probably when Mahaprabhu attempted to go to Vrindavan from Gaya. I think that's what you're talking about.
Nityananda Prabhu actually tells that this is not Yamuna and they go
Yes,
to
that Leela happened.
the other
Okay,
side.
okay. What other Leelas happened so far?
that's what is Shantipur.
That is Shantipur Leela. What all other has happened? Mahaprabhu's father passed away. Mahaprabhu went to Gaya. He took sannyas in Katwa. What else has happened? Whole night kirtans used to happen in the house of Srivas Thakur. They stopped now. What else has happened?
Then a small boy who was not eating, who was eating prasad and then the, his father was offering prasad and because they were thinking that that boy's son is eating, but then they realized that God, that he can't be.
Yeah. Uh, well, um, I'm not quite sure because this is not in Chaitanya Charitamrita, this Leela. This Leela comes in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So I'm not quite sure if it happens after sannyas or before sannyas. Was Mahaprabhu sannyasi that time?
I think so.
Then it had not happened yet.
Because they he went to somebody's house, right? And then
Yeah, I know the story. I am just not sure if it happened after sannyas, then it had not happened. Mahaprabhu took sannyas just less than a month, less than 3 weeks back. He just took sannyas. And in Shantipur, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and then he's traveling here. So less than a month he took sannyas. Then all the leelas, what all leelas have happened? Keshav Kashmiri delivered, the great scholar who came to Navadip to test about Ganga 100 verses.
Remember,
I heard many times. I don't know whether I heard here.
probably the sweet was
Yeah, that's what is before this.
sweet was the bun thing, bun to Madhavan to ready hospitals.
Huh.
That we have before this.
Yeah, Madhya and Puri, then
Then
SakshiGopal.
SakshiGopal.
These two stories Nityan Prabhu explained.
No, Madhavan Puri.
Mahaprabhu explained,
Mahaprabhu
and
explained.
this Nitai. But yeah, they are exchanging. So these leelas have happened. All the leelas that have happened are pre-sannyas. Post-sannyas is, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says, is the main leela of the Lord, is post-sannyas. So those leelas haven't yet started. So far only traveling. The leelas post-sannyas haven't yet started. They will start next week onwards, post-sannyas leela. So far, like whole night kirtans, then Chankazi, that happened. And then Mahaprabhu two marriages, that happened. Then Mahaprabhu showing universal form to Advaita and Nitai, that happened. Um, then all the pastimes with Gadadhar that we may have heard, those happened. Those are all pre-sannyas leelas. Then um, Ma, two marriages I mentioned. Um, so good. Are we having some idea of Mahaprabhu's pastimes?
Now, where it is starting? Like,
Okay, so Mahaprabhu went from Shantipur, started from Shantipur. He is going to Puri. One night he stayed as at Remuna in the temple of Khichar Gopinath. There they had discussion about Madhvendra Puri and how
yeah.
Gopinath stole. Then they continued. They stayed in overnight Shiva temple. He'll stay at night in one of the temples and next day morning start. So one night he spent in Sakshi Gopal temple and they had Krishna Katha of Sakshi Gopal. So the devotees throughout the day, as they are traveling, they are chanting the holy names. And when they are in the night, they discuss Krishna.
And who all are there? Like,
Well, there is Damodar, there is Jagadananda Pandit, and there is Mukunda Dutt. Mukunda was a physician. Murari was a physician. Mukunda was that who was used to associate with the Mahaprakash Lila happened before.
Mukunda means he didn't get the
He would associate
mercy.
with the Mayavadis.
Yeah.
He didn't get the mercy. Then everybody prayed. Then
Well, his consciousness was, I will meet Mahaprabhu one day after millions of births. Mahaprabhu gave him
yeah.
mercy. And he said, I'll give you mercy today. So he was a pure devotee. He is eternally Krishna Lila. He's a pure devotee. But in this particular, Mahaprabhu wanted to teach association of impersonalism through him. How are we doing? Because a lot of Zoom sessions. I really don't know how we are in the flow.
Actually, someone started at night, and then that person of used his blanket, very good given blanket. Then he very much shivering. Then
We're talking about Radhanan Maharaj was. धीरे धीरे थोड़ा क्लैरिटी है
Ganesham Baba.
हाँ घनश्याम बाबा राधा गोपी जी वल्लभ पास्ट
In person is effective.
हाँ
No,
I
not effective.
am just thinking that if everyone is with me, it makes me question now कि how much we are together.
Mukunda,
Jagadananda
Jagadananda Pandit,
Damodar.
and who is the fifth person?
Actually, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami describe only three plus Nitai. Don't go by picture. I mean, I just took a picture from Google. I'm not sure, but only three I mentioned. Okay, any question? Are we okay? So the simple flow of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pastime is um, um, till his childhood pastimes. Lot of childhood pastimes. I mean, it's been it's 8 months since we are discussing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Childhood pastimes, and then after he was not a devotee. Anyone remember some of the childhood pastimes before he became a devotee?
Dog.
Huh?
The dog lost.
The dog pastime.
Dog. He brought the dog to the home.
Yes, that's another. There is another dog pastime post
He
sannyas.
was with the dog was with the
Yeah, dog pastime.
Then my good teacher.
He is a Vyakaran teacher, Sanskrit teacher. What else?
He used to tease girls.
Girls and marry, ask for
Yes, yes, yes. Marry
And
me,
he used
Shiva,
to
and
yeah.
he used to also debate with Lord Abid.
and that's when Keshav Kashmiri pastime happened. He also went to Bengal, and he met Tapan
Tapan
Mishra.
Mish.
That time he was a scholar, and then he told Tapan Mishra, always chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, go to Varanasi. I'll come to Varanasi and meet you there. That when he was personally kind of gave Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So there are many such pastimes pre-sannyas. Then Mahaprabhu, um, lot of mysterious pastimes. Then Mahaprabhu went to Gaya, and that's when he met uh, Ishwar Puri. He met Ishwar Puri before also in the house of Advaita Acharya. But when he went to Gaya, he met Ishwar Puri. Then he got initiated. He got the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He came back. He became mad. And then whole night kirtans and then chant kazi and any obstructions like that. Those pastimes would flow. And then he got married again to Vishnu Priya. First wife died when he came back. So he was married, but when he came back, she died. His father already left, so only him and mother was there. So he got married again, and then these pastimes happened. And then we saw later on, he took sannyas and Shantipur and traveling. And Sachimata asked him, "You make your base in Puri." So he's making his base to Puri. So this is the first time Mahaprabhu going to see Puri. It's okay if you're not, if you connect now onwards, that's great. But try to get a flow of Mahaprabhu. That's how that desire, or once we know more about the Lord, kind of we develop a deeper connection with the Lord. So let's try that. Okay, let's go little fast now so I can finish this chapter. So can I read the remaining and just finish? Only few are remaining. So Lord Chaitanya stayed overnight and then left after Mangal Arati. So Mahaprabhu every day would attend Mangal Arati, and he would stay overnight at different temples, and then he left for Puri. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at Kamalapur, he took his bath in Bhargi Nadi, Bhargi Nadi river, and left his sannyas staff in the hands of Lord Nityananda. It is 6 miles away from Jagannath temple. So he is little far from Jagannath Puri. He has sannyas danda and he gave to Nitai. And then he went to take bath in
Bhargi.
the river. Because it's a ocean there. There is no holy river as such. It's just an ocean. So many rivers flow from that. So this is one of the river. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the temple of Lord Shiva, known as Kapoteshwar, Nityananda Prabhu, who was keeping his sannyas staff in custody, broke the staff in three parts and threw it into the river Bhargi Nadi. Later, this river became known as Danda Bhanga Nadi. So now the name of the river is Danda Bhanga Nadi. For Danda ko bhanga kar diya, tod diya. And in the sannyas order, there are four divisions: Kutichak, Bahudak, Parivrajakacharya, Paramhamsa. Kutichak, Bahudak are initial phase where you stay at one place and perform bhajan. It's very important to be able to perform bhajan in isolation. See if we have the capacity to do that. It requires certain taste. Whenever if you want sannyas from Jayapataka Maharaj says, close yourself in a room for 1 year and do bhajan. If you can do 1 year bhajan, then you can take sannyas. With whom you live?
Nobody.
Alone. For 1 year. It is not possible to do bhajan whole day unless we really have taste. Think about it. Can I sit in one place and read scriptures for 10 hours? Can I sit and read and chant 192 rounds even when I have day off and no responsibility? Can I do that? Do I have the taste in Krishna consciousness? So sannyas means you are already kind of leader of the society. For that, you need to have real taste in Krishna consciousness. If we enjoy doing bhajan alone by ourselves, means you're making progress. Just sit in one corner. Like how many of you heard Adi Gadadhar Prabhu's Bhagavatam class? Great class he gave, right? What did he say about that devotee from Australia? Gets up at 3:30, chant till 7:30, 64 rounds done in 4 hours. In 1 hour, he does 15 rounds. So there's a taste. How, when we develop taste in Krishna consciousness, now we become self-driven, become like self-driven. Then nobody has to ask us to chant more rounds, to read more. Once we have taste, we'll read for 4 hours. We'll keep on finishing books after books after books. We'll keep on chanting more and more, increasing more and more. Why? Because now we are starting to like it. Now it's no more. So Jayawala Kamara says you live in a place, no bed. Yeah. So this is called Kutichak and Bahudak, platform of sannyas. After sannyas, you can do bhajan throughout the day. Usually what happens now, if we are not trained in bhajan, seriously trained in bhajan, the moment there is free time, the mind will go for Sanskrit. Like अभी क्या करें? One Mataji was telling recently. Probably, sometimes I feel bored, so I watch some serials, some TV serials, because no taste in bhajan. When there is no taste in bhajan, then you get taste in TV serials, or you get taste in whatever you name it. There are a number of varieties. But when you have taste in bhajan, na, then what is the quality of stage of bhava? Doesn't waste a moment. See what Arya Prabhu was telling. I really liked, but one thing was, um, it cannot be copied. It is his own advancement. But if you try to copy, you will not be able to do that. That's why he's able to do, because he's chanting for 25 years now. So he has developed, and he's preaching for 25 years. So Krishna is giving him. But he was telling, Swadhyaya, he was emphasizing. There are books by Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, by Gopi Pranthan Prabhu, Raj Vilastava. There is Dix. Why they are there? Why? And then he speaking very clear and straight. But one sannyasi said that if we speak high topics when we are not there, then um, if we artificially take up a process beyond what our adhikar is, then that again becomes a disturbance to our Krishna consciousness. We won't be able to do that. And that comes in nectar of instruction as six things that obstruct our Krishna consciousness is questions. Atyahara, then Prajalpa, then
Over endeavoring.
Asatsanga, then
Over endeavoring.
over endeavoring is Atyahara. No, it's Prayasa. Prayasa. Good. Prayas, Atyahara, Atyahara, Prayas Chacha, Prajalpa. Then there is one word, that word I'm looking for. And then there is Asatsanga. And then the word I'm looking for is Niyamagraha. Remember? What is Niyamagraha? You are eager to accept rules and regulations that we are not ready for that. Rules and regulations that we are not ready, it becomes an obstruction to our Krishna consciousness. And if we have to give up certain rules and regulations to go to the next level of devotion, if we remain attached to those principles, that is also Niyamagraha. There is Niyamagraha and Niyam Agraha. So we are very eager to go to the platform where we are not at. Then it will be an obstruction to our Krishna consciousness. Or we are eager to, or we don't want to leave this position, or we are hesitant to accept which we have attained adhikar for. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says there are different prescriptions for different stages. For regulated principles, 16 rounds continues. But a lot of rules and regulations is based on Swadhyaya, based on the meditation in Japa. The meditation in Japa, what is the first meditation in Japa? Is Nam. What is second? Yeah. First Nam Smaran, and then second is Roop, and then third is qualities, Guna, and the fourth is Leela. Cannot accept Leela when we are at Nam or Roop. But if you artificially accept Leela, it won't stay. It's not Leela revelation, it's Leela force. Does it make sense? So then there is Niyamagraha and Niyam Agraha. But what is really important, what will help us go there, if you really want to get there, then first is more chanting, sincere swadhyay, reading, and then there is help in preaching. Spread the message of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you really want to gather mercy, and then there is seva. So once we kind of, and how will we get there? Mahaprabhu will take you there. When there is a pull, you are gone probably. When the pull comes, now Krishna pulls you. But these things now should be hidden. Should be hidden to such an extent nobody knows in your heart what is going on. You see, if you see Prabhupada, it will look like he's simply a Vedi sadhana bhakti. Do you agree? You read any of his book? Pakka Vidhi Marg. You hear any lecture of Gurudev. What do you see? Vidhi Marg. Vidhi Marg. When you go at that station, Saraswati Thakur says you become very closed in your sadhana. When you go very close now, then you go even more deeper. When you go very close. I was actually really surprised when he spoke. Because he is openly speaking about encouraging people to read Goswami's books. Correct? So I was thinking, Prabhuji, these things will come to you naturally. But at the same time, they are very inspirational to hear. So there is a lot of benefit. Why? Because when we hear now, then we see that okay, there is a lot more to achieve actually. Kind of a window opens. And kind of we see okay, there is something that I want to acquire. And that's something really want to go there, because that's where kind of there is nectar part there. More you go deeper, Rupa is more nectar part. Then Guna is more nectar part. And then Leela is the most nectar part. And the goal is actually Leela Snan. Why we came here? Kutichak Bahudak or Sadhana. Kutichak Bahudak is like, can you do sadhana throughout the day? That is Kutichak Bahudak. There, sannyasis, if you travel, na, you have to travel with a danda. But when you go to Parivrajakacharya and Paramhamsa, then then you don't need danda. So Nitai wanted to emphasize that this is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He doesn't need danda. So he broke the danda in three parts and threw into a river. Are we good? I was thinking to go fast, then I got stuck at one place. So let me finish. There are six slides, or maybe 10 slides. But if you go fast, we can finish quickly. Jagannathera diulu dekhi avishta haila dandavata kari prema nachetela gila. After seeing the temple of Jagannath from the distance place, you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the picture. What is he doing? He's mad. And then he's seeing the picture. He's seeing the temple of Jagannath. It's just 6 miles away. So he's watching and he's like, Jagannath, Jagannath, Jagannath. So after seeing the temple of Jagannath from the distant place, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately became ecstatic. After offering obeisance to the temple, he began to dance in ecstasy of love of God. हासे कांडे नाचे प्रभु हुंकार गर्जना Tina Krosha Pata Haila Sahasra Yojana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu laughed, cried, danced, and made many ecstatic vibrations and sounds. Although the temple was only 6 miles away, to him the distance seemed thousands of miles. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy, he considered one moment to last as long as 12 years. Good? You remember Shikshashtakam? Shikshashtakam. We never discussed Shikshashtakam, you know?
No.
Very big.
These words like
Yugaitam Nimeshina. Okay, let's. Yeah, good. Which is like one moment appears like 12 years or more. Can you imagine the separation from Krishna at that stage? One moment is when I hear this verse, I become really depressed. I mean, what is our level of attraction for Krishna? Our attraction for Krishna is so high when we chant the holy name of Krishna. It's like, oh. so difficult and all. See, our attraction for Krishna. Our attraction for Krishna is so high. When we start reading Shastra, after 10 minutes, we think two verses are done. And then our mind says, you have to make those calls right.
Yeah.
And लैपटॉप में वो वेबसाइट चेक करना है ना वो so many things are doing. Oh, let me get this, those are really important. Let me get to them. See, our attraction for Krishna, when we are with Krishna we feel repulsion. And see Mahaprabhu's attraction for Krishna, so 6 miles, but he just could not tolerate that 6 miles of distance. नित्यानंदे कहे प्रभु देहा मोरा डंडा, नित्यानंदे बोले डंडा हाइला तीना खंडा. नित्यानंद प्रभु कहे, नित्यानंद कहे प्रभु देहा मोरा डंडा. So Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy. He came to Nitai, give me my danda. नित्यानंद बोले डंडा हाइला तीना खंडा. वो उसके 3 टुकड़े कर दिए मैंने. नहीं, 3 टुकड़े हो गए उसके, वो तो नदी में फेंक गया. Not reading English, if there is Bengali. Nityananda Prabhu said, then only English. When you fell down in ecstasy, I caught you, but both of us together fell upon the staff. The staff was down, said, you fell, you didn't realize. So you only broke the danda. Thus the staff broke under our weight. Where the pieces have gone, I cannot say. He threw in the river. Now it's not. I don't know where the piece. It just broke and just disappeared. Sri Nityananda Prabhu considered Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas to be useless. He therefore relieved the Lord of the trouble of carrying the staff. If you seek to carry the staff, actually a lot of pain. Sometimes, like when I was Sagar Maharaj, or when I'm with, if I'm traveling, some sannyasi around me, sometimes they will ask me that carry the danda. If they're doing kirtan, something like that. So I carry the danda. Danda should not touch the ground. Oh, it's really difficult. It's actually a burden, but then it's a regulated principle for the first two. So Mahaprabhu was carrying the danda. So Nityananda Prabhu didn't want. He thought, for Lord to take sannyas useless. Na hum vipro na chanarapati. We are not any of the ashram. So he threw the danda to relieve the Lord of the pressure. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expressed anger because he wanted to teach all other sannyasis that they should not give up staff before attaining platform of Paramahamsa. First you attain. So some sannyasis they carry danda, some don't. So uh, based on where they are in the Krishna consciousness. Clear? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you have all benefited me by bringing me to Nilachal. However, my only possession was that one staff and you have not kept it. So you see Mahaprabhu is expressing real anger, but he was very happy because that's the right thing to do, but he was angered because he wanted to show the principle, regulated principle. Now, if you remember Nectar of Devotion, um, uh, Nectar of Devotion is the book that will take you all the way to Prema Bhakti. That is the book. When I read first Nectar of Devotion, I understood 5%. When I read second time, I understood more percent. When I read it again, then at some point of time it was like, then first time I got the realization. Actually, Rupa Goswami has given the way to progress. Everything is a nectar of devotion. Everything. That's nectar of devotion. So nectar of devotion says that you externally act as vidhi, but you internally you follow a resident of Vrindavan internally, but there is external always with you. You see anybody external always with you. Why? Because otherwise it creates disturbance in society and it creates envy. Doesn't make sense. It will trigger envy in the society. When everybody sees now, especially if you tell somebody about something that they're not ready yet, instead of glorifying you, they will envy you. Do you all agree? So it is not recommended. It simply creates disturbance. So what you do is you progress, and every why because Mahaprabhu, but you progress seriously. Prabhupada said, "You serve Krishna, Krishna will give it to you." There is nothing rocket science. Everyone have to get that only. I mean, for us right now is hearing chanting 16 hours is so difficult, but that's our goal. That's our goal. So Mahaprabhu was very angry because he wanted to act on a regulated platform. Tumi saga aage yahan Ishwara dekhite, kiba ami aage yahi nasabe sahite. He said nasabe sahite. Now we'll not walk together anymore. As long as you guys are with me, simply are creating trouble. I fell on the danda and I broke the danda. No more. Tumi saba aage yahan Ishwara dekhite. You all go ahead and see Ishwar, Jagannath. I'll come behind. Or kiba ami yage yai. Or I will go ahead. But na yaba sahite. We will not go together now onwards. So then there is Mukunda. Mukunda Datta ka, hey Prabhu, tumi yahan aage. He said, okay, you go forward. We'll come behind you. Ami saba paiche yabe. Na yabe tomara sange. We'll not come with you. You go ahead and we'll come after you. And this is, you see, Mahaprabhu is ecstatically seeing Jagannath and now he's alone. He's really chanting that and he want to go to Jagannath. Eta suni Prabhu aage chalila shigragati. So what, he started running now. Shigragati. He's like eager to see Jagannath. Bujite na pare ke hath doi prabhura mati. No one could understand the real purpose of the two Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Mati means intelligence. Bujite na pare keha doi prabhura mati. So Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is telling why Nitai and Mahaprabhu did this, nobody can understand. This sannyas danda pastime. But then from the purport and acharyas, we saw that these different connection, the reference of danda, why he broke, who should not broke, why Mahaprabhu became angry externally. So that we understand. Good. Okay. Okay. So this is the third last slide for today. Danda Bhanga Leela A Parama Gambhir. So he's telling Danda Bhanga Leela E Parama Gambhir. It's very deep pastime. Gambhir. It's very serious pastime. Say bhuje duhara pade, yahara bhakti dhir. The pastime of breaking the staff is very deep. Only one whose devotion is fixed upon the lotus feet of the two lords can understand it. All the previous acharyas. Now, Prabhupada on why this pastime of breaking danda is very deep. So Prabhupada says in the purport, all the previous acharyas being induced to engage themselves fully in the service of Lord gave up attachment to material life and thus accepted the staff, which signifies full engagement of the body, mind, and speech in the service of the Lord. So this is the goal. So three danda represents my body in service of the Lord, my words in service of the Lord, and my mind, which is very difficult. My mind is service of the Lord. So that's why. And another thing is, um, Nitai made it three pieces because we are three danda sannyasis, not we in his call. We accept three danda sannyasis. In Shankaracharya, they accept ekadanda sannyas. That's another reason why Mahaprabhu broke into two pieces, not one or not four. Thus, he made it three. So three means body, mind, and speech. Ekadanda means I and Krishna are same. So that's ekadanda. And three danda means body, mind, and speech engage in service of God. That's why he made it into three danda. That's why it's very gambhir. Okay, so this is the second last slide. Falastuti. Shraddha yukta ahana iha sunye jana. Achire milaya tora Gopala charana. One who hears this narration of Lord Gopal with faith and love very soon attains the lotus feet of Lord Gopal. If we hear this pastime with faith and love, whatever we can do, very soon attain the lotus feet of Lord Gopal. Sometime in the future, we'll discuss about the lotus feet of Lord Gopal. How many have heard about lotus feet of Lord Gopal? Lotus feet of Krishna. Have you heard about lotus feet of Krishna? Lotus feet of Krishna. Lotus feet. Have you heard about lotus feet of Krishna? You know, Krishna has many symbols
Ah, um,
on his feet, and Radharani also has. Krishna has on his right hand 11 symbols, on his left hand 8 symbols, total 19 symbols. And Radharani has 90. But 4 or 5 are different, but rest are common. And devotees, when Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that during japa, this is a good meditation. So many times have you heard meditating on the lotus feet of Krishna? That's what they meditate on. It's those symbols and what it represents. So different symbols represent different things. So there's a triangle. So triangle means free from the three modes of material nature. And then there is Some are very esoteric symbols, some are not esoteric symbols.
Okay.
So they attain the lotus feet of Gopal. Okay, some discussion of some time in the future. Shri Rupa Raghunath Padayara asked Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Das, praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath after desiring their mercy, I Krishna Snare Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. So, was the pastime clear today? Were you able to follow?
Yes.
About Danda Bhanga Leela, about Mahaprabhu's travel. His next week, he'll see Jagannath and we'll see how he feels after seeing Jagannath. And about the completion of Sakshi Gopal. Good? Good? Um, Devotees on Zoom, thank you very much. I'm ending here now.